And welcome everyone to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. From Las Vegas, Nevada, the searing heat, the unforgiving heat of the desert giving way to the cool action inside. And tonight, a fantastic matchup between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Orlando Magic. A couple of teams off to a winning start in their initial games here. Both teams coming in at 1-0 here from the Thomas and Mack Center. Going to be an intriguing battle here tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, courtside, along with Doris Burke, Cassidy Hubbard, joining us in just a bit. Doris, tonight we get a look at a couple of big men on both sides of the ledger. Let's start things off with the Orlando Magic, a team that seems like they have been in the playoffs in a long time since Dwight Howard left back in 2012, but the future looking bright for that squad behind these two bigs.
Well, the front court is especially long, shall we say, especially with Mo Bamba. This young man has got the longest wingspan in the history of the NBA Combine. He is a tremendous shot blocker. Isaac going to set him up. He's a better jump shooter, Mark. He's worked hard to change his form, and it's paid dividends. Isaac was hurt for much of last year, but we remember him at Florida State. This is a long, athletic guy who's got to become more aggressive and assertive as a scorer because the jump shot is there. He'll become better as he gets more repetition in the pick and roll, but the two young bigs starting to develop some chemistry here.
Yeah, and he averaged 6 points a game, Isaac did. Bamba, meanwhile, had 11 and 7 in his Summer League debut Friday night in that win against the Brooklyn Nets. Hey, let's talk about the other side of the ledger tonight. The Memphis Grizzlies. The grindhouse hasn't been the same for the last couple of years, but fans on Beale Street excited about Jaren Jackson Jr., who in his debut in the Utah Summer League was lights out. He shot the ball incredibly well.
Listen, I like the people on Beale Street. I'm more excited we get to watch Jaren Jackson because he gets out of the gates at the Salt Lake Summer League shooting the three beautifully, Mark. 8 threes. He was incredible. He's athletic. He's long. He can defend. There's so much to like. I can't wait to watch this young man play.
He has had an outstanding first week in the NBA, really raising the expectations in Memphis.
Welcome to the NBA, kid. How fired up are you if you're a Grizzly fan?
That's a marvelous shot. Jaren Jackson Jr. stealing the show.
One more time.
I think the offense just got a kick in the pants.
Western Conference is a tough place. DeMarcus Cousins now apparently a Golden State Warrior. Looking for a reaction?
Now. Oh. Are you being
Absolutely serious.
well, we're focused on us, one game at a time.
Jaren Jackson Jr. with a great catch, and what a block. Oh, Jaren Jackson got him again. So Jaren Jackson Jr. with great overall play.
Well, Jaren Jackson Jr., the beneficiary, Doris Burke, of tremendous lineage. His father, Jaren Sr., an NBA champion with the San Antonio Spurs back in the day, and he's watched his son closely develop into one of the top big men in this past recent draft, a draft class that was heavy in talent and big men. The Grizzlies have to feel like they got a tremendous cornerstone to build on.
No question, Mark. He's 6'11", 240-plus pounds. He's a better shooter than they had anticipated. When he came out of Michigan State, the talk was about his defensive abilities, and he's got to play that verticality rule. He's got the length. He's got the ability to move his feet laterally. But there's a better offensive arsenal than probably this team expected, so it's a huge piece for the Memphis Grizzlies.
And Cassidy Hubbard had a chance to talk with him a little bit earlier.
Thanks, Mark. Jaren, you kicked off your Summer League play in Utah, showing off your range. Then yesterday you put on a block party. So what else are you trying to showcase here in Vegas?
You know, those things just all lead to wins. You know, my teammates in the first game found me in my right spots. And the defense, that's just what we hang our hat on. That's our staple, and we're trying to bring that out there today.
Now, you've admitted that you get a little more amped up to face off against the big-name guys. What are you looking forward to the most going up against Mo Bamba in that 7'10" wingspan?
I'm just trying to get a win. You know, it don't matter who we play. Obviously, you know, I know Mo, so, you know, you never want to lose to your friend, so that's one thing. But at the end of the day, he's a great player, and you get up for things like that, so it should be a good game.
Good luck. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Back to you.
Really ingratiating personality as well. Jaren Jackson Jr. is. Let's take a look at starting lineups here for both the Orlando Magic and the Memphis Grizzlies. Magic starting Isaiah Briscoe, erstwhile at the University of Kentucky, played overseas last year. Tell you more about him. Fraser Isaac Owundu and Mo Bamba. Davis, Jackson Jr., Crawford, Kobe Simmons, a second-year player. Javon Carter, an interesting watch here tonight, Doris. When you talk about guys who like to defend 94 feet and the culture that J.B. Bickerstaff, the new head coach of the Grizzlies, wants to establish, this guy could get some time.
Well, what do coaches talk about? You want hard-playing competitors. Well, that is Carter in a nutshell. This kid takes his defense personal. He doesn't want to be scored on. He'll have an opportunity if things work out to learn from Mike Conley. But he's got to figure out the system like all of these young guys. Get the verbiage down, understand their coverages defensively, and then get the offense under their wings.
Deontay Davis going to tip it off against Mo Bamba, who has the longest wingspan in NBA Combine history. 7 feet, 10 inches, and a little. And he wins the jump. Isaiah Briscoe up court for the Orlando Magic. Briscoe gets all the way to the basket and finishes with the left hand.
Wow, I'll tell you, they like this young man. This is a guy who had to play the 3 position at Kentucky because of the guards in front of him. But I'll tell you that's a strong-looking move from a guy with a terrific body.
Yeah, played behind De'Aaron Fox, now with the Sacramento Kings, and Jamal Murray, who's with the Denver Nuggets. There's Jaren Jackson Jr., blocked by Bamba and Isaac. 2 on the clock for Carter. He got it off in time, and now they're going to say no, he didn't get it off in time. Shot clock violation against the Grizzlies. One more look at that block.
Well, there is the length and the strength of the 2 young big men. Mo Bamba blocked 3.7 blocks per game at Texas. You just talked about the 7'10" wingspan. That is rim protection. And what a delightful, I mean absolutely delightful, bright, engaging young man. I could have talked to him for an hour tonight.
Really proud of his Harlem roots. From Harlem, New York. A real kind of a Renaissance young man. Expressed a desire to succeed in the NBA.
Can I make an early push for when he's done with his basketball career, he become a politician?
Yeah, he can win a lot of friends and a lot of people over. And he was impressive during the interview process at the NBA Combine and leading up to the days of the draft. Mo Bamba played just 1 year for the University of Texas. And Shaka Smart averaged just under 13 points a game. Actually, that's probably half a block each between him and Jonathan Isaac. They both got a piece of that.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's Briscoe up court. That handle already looking a lot tighter than it was the last time we saw him. Frazier, their other first-round pick, missing from deep. And here's Kobe Simmons, an intriguing prospect, second-year player out of Arizona. He was the Grizzlies' 2-year player, two-way player a season ago. Crossed up Bamba. Jaren Jackson Jr. blocked underneath, that time by Isaac. A lot of length between Isaac and Bamba. A whistle and a foul. As Ike Wundu will go to the free throw line for a pair. That foul is going to go against Kobe Simmons. Wundu going to the foul line. Appeared in 62 games last year for Orlando. Started the last 9 games that he played. Averaged just under 4 points per contest. And what about the Orlando Magic? Big news for them, good news for them. They re-signed Aaron Gordon, a restricted free agent, to a 4-year reported $80 million deal.
They also get Jerian Grant.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who believe Jerian Grant has got a chance at the point guard position with his size to do some things. He's only 25 years old, played, of course, at Notre Dame, had a great career for Mike Bray there.
Mozgov also part of that deal for the Orlando Magic. So Steve Clifford, the new head coach, going to put the pieces together. Simmons on the drive. Deontay Davis blocked by Jonathan Isaac. Boy, Jonathan Isaac and Mo Bamba with the no-fly zone in there, Doris.
Well, you know that their head coach, Steve Clifford, builds from the defensive side of the ball out. So what he's seen is 2 shot clock violations early. And how would you like to score between those two big bodies, Mr. Isaac?
That's about, if my math is correct, about 16 feet of reach between the two of them. Briscoe cross court had it almost picked off. 8 on the shot clock. 3-on-1. Here's Simmons. And that's what he can do, an athletic finisher. Kobe Simmons comes into Summer League with a lot to prove. Highly motivated. Came out of Arizona a little bit early. Some people feel went undrafted, but impressed last year at this time in Summer League play and earned himself a 2-way contract with the Grizzlies and got a lot of playing time with the big team towards the end of the season when Harrison took a back seat to him. And Connolly, of course, was hurt.
Well, and Simmons has got to use his speed, I think, Mark, to be effective. He's got unbelievable burst. He's a blur with the basketball, and what you just saw in that transition opportunity, that's how he's got to make some hay.
Just underway here in the first quarter, first of 2 coming up after this one. It'll be the Lakers taking on the Bulls. A whistle and a foul as Carter pushed Briscoe out of bounds, and that kind of harkens back to what Summer League head coach Pat Delaney was telling us, that he's got to learn to be the right kind of physical in the NBA.
That's correct, because Carter was a great defensive player at West Virginia. But it's, you know, the rules in the NBA dictate you can't be as physical as he probably was at West Virginia.
Yeah, he was college basketball's version of Patrick Beverly, Mr. 94 feet. Owundu couldn't finish. Davis hands it off to Carter. The Grizzlies looking to run. And Jonathan Isaac with the strip and punching it home. Express yourself, Jonathan Isaac.
Well, he can be long as a shot blocker. He can jump a passing lane. He can make a strip on a dribble drive that's a little bit too casual. And there was nothing casual about that finish. My goodness, Mr. Isaac. That was long, lean, and mean, Mark Jones.
Sure was. Had 20 points in his Summer League opener a couple of nights ago. Here's Carter off the screen. And Carter turns it over. Good recovery defensively by Isaiah Briscoe. Isaiah Briscoe played overseas last year in Kalev, Russia, and was the player of the year in that league in the Estonia region. Nothing like going overseas and reinventing yourself. Jonathan Isaac with the floater. Bamba caught it. It came up short. And on the run out, here's the Grizzlies. Carter with a quick catch and shoot. And it's Butter.
Well, their half-court sets haven't been very good, so quick trigger from 3 that gives them a bucket. They needed it.
Javon Carter was the only D1 player to average 17 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals last year. But it all starts at the defensive end.
Let's take a look at Jaren Jackson doing some things on the defensive end. Carter gets a strip, he makes the hustle, and then Carter the other way just steps right into a early offense 3.
Briscoe back at the free throw line. Struggled at the stripe in his first Summer League game, went just 3 for 6. But already the stroke looks much better than it did the last time we saw him at the University of Kentucky.
You know, I'm intrigued by him because he was a guy in terms of his leadership and willingness to slide down to make accommodations for the point guards. De'Aaron Fox comes to mind. Tyler Ulis comes to mind. You know, he was a team first guy.
Yeah.
And I think you wonder about his confidence maybe not having played that point guard position. He's got to get back to it.
Sometimes, Doris, at the University of Kentucky, the best players are hiding in plain sight.
Right.
When you consider
There's
the fact,
so many of them.
Yeah, when Anthony Davis was the 4th leading scorer on that team.
That gives you some sense of how much John Calipari has it rolling.
Jaren Jackson's Grizzlies with possession here. Sets a ball screen for Simmons on the pick and pop. Simmons dialed up and pulled his own number. Isaac in transition. Jonathan Isaac, as the ball's knocked out of bounds. It'll be Orlando basketball. Has been doing good work in the lab all summer. More after this.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by Golden Corral's 99-cent Kids Nights, now every night at dinner.
5:48 to go in the first quarter here courtside in Las Vegas. Mark Jones chopping it up with Doris Burke and Cassidy Hubbard. The Memphis Grizzlies starting over. We've got a brand new head coach, J.B. Bickerstaff. He was the interim head coach last year, taking over after the early departure and firing of David Fizdale. On the break, a foul. DJ Steffens went high and drew the hit from Frazier. But J.B. Bickerstaff has hired a really tremendous coaching staff. Chad Forcier, his assistant coach, along with Jerry Stackhouse. Greg Buckner is the Summer League coach. A young staff with a lot of energy, guys that can get out there on the floor and actually demonstrate and do some things for a team that's trying to retool a little bit.
Well, they're trying to get a little bit back to that grit and grind. And you think about some of the linchpins. Certainly Zach Randolph was one of those. He's no longer with the team, but the pillars have been Mike Conley and Marc Gasol. And what you wonder about Mike Conley, and I talked to some of their people about him, he's progressing. He's starting to do some light court work. But they're trying to keep his load down, Mark, in an attempt to make sure Mike is ready as we move closer to the season.
Yeah, and the other big piece, of course, is Marc Gasol. Both those two guys have to remain healthy for Memphis to have a voice in that competitive Western Conference. And then you look at some of the other guys on the roster as they turn it over. Jackson couldn't track it down. What do they do with Chandler Parsons, who has been laboriously working to get right physically? That knee has been problematic, but he's been putting a lot of effort into having his body ready for training camp. And he has a couple of years left on a pretty heavy contract. Jonathan Isaac with the pull-up.
Now, I know he's missing shots, but one of the things they're trying to get Jonathan Isaac to do, Mark, is that's a nice-looking drive. Wow.
Kobe Simmons.
They're trying. See, Jonathan Isaac, and I always said this when he was at Florida State, I never thought he was aggressive enough looking to score. He's an unselfish player. He's a guy who wants to affect winning in a number of ways. But tonight, at least, I know he's missing shots, but he's being aggressive as a scorer.
Yep. That's the thing that he's been working on during the summertime. Tip no good. Magic get it back. Isaac inside. Isaac saying that he stayed in the Orlando area and worked out every day at their practice facility. The bucket good and did a lot of one-on-one wing work. As you alluded to, him being more aggressive offensively.
Saw him in the hotel lobby watching tape with head coach Steve Clifford. No wasted opportunities, right?
Yep.
Well,
Simmons on the drive.
Forgive us, Mr. Simmons, because I was busy talking when you were being electric in transition. He's looking around, who's running with me, but once he sees the defense doesn't commit, boy, he just goes right to the cup. That's pretty.
And you talked about his selflessness almost to a fault. I was speaking with Stan Jones earlier today, and he was telling me that there were times where he only scored 4 or 5 points in a game, but he was the happiest guy on the team, cheering for his teammates, whether it be on the floor or on the bench.
I agree. Listen, Jonathan Isaac is exactly the kind of guy you want on your team. Having spoken to both their young bigs, those are exciting pieces to me, Mark.
Isaiah Briscoe up court. Orlando leading by a bucket. Briscoe off the screen. Probing. And Briscoe draws the foul. Briscoe, Doris, what do you make of his physicality?
I like it. It's the first thing I said earlier. It's like the frame is really strong. And what you liked about that possession was the pace he played with, right? Get the defender on the hip. You decide when and where to go.
I saw Fran Fraschilla courtside here a moment ago. I've got to ask him about that Estonian team that Isaiah Briscoe played for.
He would know.
Fran's got a scouting report on him. Summer League action continues tonight in Las Vegas right here on NBA TV and the ESPN app. Sacramento taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. Led by Sindarius Thornwell and first-round draft pick Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Bagley getting a breather tonight. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been kind of quiet so far, Doris.
He has been. Right now, there's going to be a foul on Isaiah Briscoe's. Mouse in the house.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson looking to post up the point guard.
Jaren Jackson, whose father won a championship with the San Antonio Spurs. His stock really took off in the last week of the draft leading up to it. Dad played 12 years in the NBA and won that title. You speak to the coaching staff of the Grizzlies, they love the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. is extremely coachable. And folks, remember, he won't turn 19 until September the 15th. Had the third longest wingspan in the NBA Combine at 7'5".
They think he's got a chance to be elite defensively at the 4 spot.
You know, Jerry Stackhouse is on staff with the Memphis Grizzlies. He was telling me that he remembers watching Jaren Jackson Jr. on the AAU circuit as a youngster. And his parents are to be commended, Stackhouse said, for letting him develop at his own pace.
Yeah.
He wasn't even the best player on his AAU team coming up. Mullins from deep. Grizzlies with the rebound and a chance to take the lead. Mahmoud setting the screen. Big man out of Louisville got tripped up. Goodwin with the floater. And a foul called on the shot. Timeout on the floor. We'll be back to the Thomas & Mack Center right after this. One and done, still the flavor of the day as it pertains to the NBA draft. The last 9 overall #1 picks were one and done guys. 22 of the last 27, and this year 8 of the first 10 picks were one and done players.
Okay, so there's a lot of talk that the one and done's going away. So is the idea that it would become like the baseball model? If you decide to come into the NBA, fine, but if you decide to enter an NCAA institution,
you got to lock in for
a couple years.
I think that works. I do think if you feel like you're good enough and want to pursue your NBA career, that you should be able to.
I agree.
Especially what's happening with the G League right now, Doris, the way they've been able to monetize it a little bit more with the two-way contracts.
And I definitely think the NBA, and Adam Silver has made this clear, I think that they want more control over some of that opportunity that can come to some of their younger players.
Let's see what Mo Bamba does here facing up on offense. Puts it on the deck. Mullins with the tip, no good. And rebounded by the Grizzlies. Brandon Goodwin out of Florida Gulf Coast University, played for Coach Dooley there. Pretty polished at the point guard spot. Someone they can trust. And he dished out a nice dime that time for the jump shot. Memphis leading by 3. Cross-court find. And Bamba, who's been doing a lot of work on that three-point shot in the last 3 months, he was telling me, with Drew Hanlon out in Los Angeles. What did he tell us, Doris? He said that he would basically shoot until his arm got tired, and it felt like it was falling off. Yeah.
That's right. This young man is willing to work. I was asking you, forget that, okay, top draft pick, right, Mark? He's got to find his house, but you're probably on campus until May, early May. I said, have you found your place? He said, no, I've got 3 in mind. And he goes, but I am very methodical in how I do things. I said, well, first of all, you can tell immediately he's such a thoughtful young man. Yeah. But he wants it near the practice facility.
That's a good call.
That's a great call. You know the guy wants to work.
And maybe even walking distance. Knocked down that 3 ball a moment ago. Mullins going to pull here. A little bit strong. Carter with the board for the Grizzlies. Tied at 14. Watford gave it back to Carter, and Carter, his jump shot has looked pretty pure here in the first quarter.
It's looked very good, Mark. He's been aggressive. He had that pull-up three in transition when they were really struggling to put anything on the board.
That time Carter got caught reaching in.
Now, Juwan Carter played for Bob Huggins. Yeah, really nice job just coming back. He delivers the ball into the post. Looks like he's going to go away and screen. Hard cut back. Nice.
Shot clock was reset to 14. Under a minute to go here in the first quarter. Carter deflected out of bounds. It'll be Orlando basketball. A long two is good.
Angola, another Florida State product. Had a very productive 2-year stint with the Seminoles.
About a 7-second difference between the shot and game clock. Here he is again, Angola Rodas. That time couldn't connect.
Boy, does Steffens get off his feet? This guy's athleticism is ridiculous.
Well into the 40-inch area when he talked about his vertical jump. I don't think he's ever lost a dunk contest that he's been in. Nice extra pass to Carter from downtown. Mullins with the heave off the mark, and that's the end of the first quarter play here for Las Vegas. Tied at 16 when we come back. Tied at 16 as we get ready for the start of the second quarter here in Las Vegas. Mark Jones alongside Doris Burke and Cassidy Hubbard. A little bit of news to report today, obviously, with the Memphis Grizzlies. The San Antonio Spurs declining to match the 4-year, $37 million offer sheet to Kyle Anderson. So that means that Kyle Anderson on his way to becoming a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. Doris, what do you make of that move, and how does he fit in?
Well, he did a tremendous job in the face of all the challenges the Spurs faced this season, and they were so many in terms of their injuries and things they had to overcome. And Kyle, I think the concern was always, can he guard? Because if he's not the fleetest of foot. But the kid, if you look at the defensive metrics, and this is where you could say the numbers can tell you what you want, but he battled on the defensive end. He knows the game. He's got a good feel, Mark. And if they're going to the grit and grind, slow-mo, well, then Mr. Anderson could fit in.
Well, he's certainly a guy that knows how to play selflessly with that San Antonio lineage. Orlando leading by 3. Mo Bamba, the first-round pick of the Orlando Magic, number 6 overall, out of Harlem, New York, looking to restore Harlem's hoops presence in the NBA. Carter, Jaren Jackson Jr. inside, missed everything. Wrestling Bamba, we got a jump ball between the two of them. He's talking about Bamba and him being from Harlem. Says that he wears his neighborhood on his sleeve. Spent some time at the Rucker, been to the Apollo, and I asked him the all-important question about whether it was the meatloaf or the chicken at Sylvia's.
He gave the right answer.
He sure did. Now I know he's okay. Sylvia's world-famous restaurant up near 125th Street.
The answer is chicken, folks.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. The meatloaf is a close second, though. Simmons on the drive. Bamba made him change it. Copain in transition, drew the hit, and counted. Troy Copain with the finish here.
Cincinnati product. Nicely done. He was a long-time starter, just a fixture for Mick Cronin at Cincinnati.
Only Bearcat player in the history of the school with over 1,300 points and 500 assists.
102 wins, maybe more importantly, Mark. 4 straight NCAAs.
Jackson finds Simmons. Nice looking pass out of the double team by Jaren Jackson Jr. Angola Rodas over to his Florida State teammate, Jonathan Isaac. Well, Isaac was only there for 1 year. And going to be side out of bounds for Orlando. Jonathan Isaac, born in New York as well, but considers himself a Floridian from Naples. Had 20 points in his Summer League debut against the Nets on Friday. Keeping an eye on his mid-range game, see what he does here. Couldn't take Jackson off the dribble, Doris. But it worked out okay for Orlando anyway. Melvin Frazier Jr., the 35th pick in the second round for Orlando. Memphis, meanwhile, has missed its last 7 shots. In transition, Copain with the layup.
Playing off their defense. That's going to get a timeout by Memphis.
Steve Clifford is smiling somewhere in the building, no doubt. Timeout on the floor. When we come back, we'll tell you just how much fun you can have. We'll hand it over to Cassidy Hubbard to show you. Orlando leading 25-16 here in the second quarter. This is basketball paradise here, folks, in July. Let's go to Cassidy for more.
Yeah, Mark, DB, this is the best part about Vegas Summer League. You get to watch 2 top 10 picks here at Thomas and Mack Arena, and then just a quick walk, about 100 feet or so, over to Cox Pavilion. And this is the first time that all 30 teams have participated in the Vegas Summer League, meaning fans from every single team filling this corridor and participating in all the activities and watching all their favorite players, newcomers that is. Here we have virtual reality to my left here. You can also do Pop-A-Shot as well. You can take pictures with a hologram NBA player and actually a real life NBA star, because this is the same walk. Players like John Wall and Bradley Beal and so many other big names. DeMarcus Cousins was seen here earlier. And Chris Paul's come here in the past. You can take pictures with them through this corridor because all of these fans are walking and talking and heading over to Cox Pavilion, which we're almost getting there. And we are heading over to see Kevin Knox, as I mentioned. So much to do here, but I think the number one thing is the non-stop action like today. 10 games. The 10-game slate. We've had 3 straight days of 10 games. And so we're going to check in on Kevin Knox, who was the 9th overall pick for the New York Knicks. And he went from getting booed on draft day to getting oohs and ahs in his debut last night. And one of the greatest things about Cox Pavilion is the intimate atmosphere. It almost feels like a high school gym. And look how packed this place is. Watching Kevin Knox and the Knicks taking on the Utah Jazz. And look, yesterday Knox had 5 dunks, finished with a team-high 22 points. And he said, they booed me, so I wanted to show them what type of player they have. And yesterday, he put on a show. And today, he's doing the same, putting up big numbers as well. As far as the Jazz are concerned, Grayson Allen, unfortunately, he's not playing this game. The team announced he's just resting. He will be participating later in the Summer League. Just a reminder, he did play in the Utah Jazz Summer League, but a lot of action here. And this is what Summer League is about. Non-stop fun for everyone. Back to you guys.
Cassidy, it's awesome. You're right. I mean, Doris, if you're a basketball fan, the ticket prices here are so modestly priced, very affordable. You get your ticket, and you can walk back and forth between the 2 gyms, watching the different games. The times are staggered, so it works out perfectly. You bump into general managers, you bump into coaches, assistant coaches, players, agents, and on down the line. It's great. I've got a day off tomorrow. Don't tell anybody. But I'm going to find myself at the gym because I need to work the room. It's fun.
It sounds like Mark Jones. But seriously, that didn't take Cassidy long to get there.
Right.
We're clearly working her hard because she sounded out of breath in the very short walk. We need to give Cassidy Hubbard some time off. No, it's a great atmosphere. It's my first time here, Mark, and it's been so much fun to watch these young guys get their first run in an NBA environment. They're trying to take in a ton of stuff, and I don't want to tell people, but I'm going to just brag. The Papa Shot. Do you got
You
game
got a high score?
Do you got game at that?
I can't. I don't do the Papa Shot
We
thing,
might
man.
have to set we might have to set a time tomorrow to go one-on-one in the Papa Shot, brother.
Wundu ripped by Simmons. Memphis trying to cut into that 4-point lead. Carter couldn't get the handle out of bounds. And it's going to come back the other way to the Orlando Magic. Hey, Doris, let's talk about Orlando a little bit. New head coach Steve Clifford has completed his staff. Last year they were reasonable. They were 11-15 on December the 6th, and then dropped 9 in a row and 16 of their next 17, essentially sealing their fate for the year after that point. But Steve Clifford, back in the league, one of the best coaches.
I'm glad
had some health issues with Charlotte.
Right.
And then they made the change at the end of this year. But that's a great hire for the Magic.
I was glad you started there, Mark. He's got 30 years experience in the NBA and college. He was an assistant to both Stan Van Gundy and Jeff Van Gundy. You think about his first year in Charlotte, he goes and improves by 22 wins.
Yep.
You know, things start on the defensive end. We're talking to their staff today, and the only thing that they wanted to talk about was defense.
Yeah.
Like, we got to get the terminology down. We got to speak the same language. We've got to understand the details, the processing.
That's a franchise that has shown when they have some success does really well.
I'll tell you this. You look at the numbers of their attendance this year.
Yep.
The engagement that they have with the community. That is a city that will support and has supported and give the organization credit for having great synergy in the community. That's a two-way street down there in Orlando.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things going on in that area. The Magic franchise is really developing that downtown Church Street area, and it is going to be, upon completion, an incredible destination for people in Central Florida. Not just Orlando, but all the way down to Lake Okeechobee and across to Orlando.
And think about the period of extended success they had, right? There were 7 50-win seasons. They won the Eastern Conference Championship in '95 and 2009 under Stan Van Gundy.
Yep.
I'm impressed by the sustaining of their fan support in the midst of some tough years, obviously.
5-point lead for the Magic. Nice looking pull-up by Jonathan Isaac. That's the shot.
Yeah,
Doris, right?
that's it. And I just like his assertiveness. He's clearly accepting what those coaches are saying, and that's, we need you to be aggressive as a scorer.
4 points for Jonathan Isaac. Kobe Simmons left it short.
Jonathan Isaac missed 51 games last year because of an ankle injury. But he's got a lot to his game. He's long, he's athletic. Look at that nice, efficient, 2-dribble, pull it up, get to your move quickly. That was nice.
It was, don't forget the Lakers come up next, the second half of our doubleheader, taking on the Chicago Bulls. But you ask anybody on that Florida State coaching staff, and they'll tell you it was not uncommon to be awakened in the morning in the practice gym down in Tallahassee by Jonathan Isaac's worship music. He would be blaring it and getting shots up at the same time. He's a real dedicated guy to his craft and a real young man of faith. And with possession right here at the elbow. Nice matchup between him and Jackson. That time Jackson won it. Davis out top.
Yeah, Davis, I think Jackson a little bit frustrated that he missed him. He was working hard to get post position on Isaac.
Jackson a little bit out of control, lost his balance. 4 on the shot clock, a whistle. And it looks like we're going to get a foul call. But Jaren Jackson maybe trying to do a little bit too much, Doris.
Yeah, and he looks like he's a little slow to get moving here. See, they missed him on the initial post-up, and so now this is on the catch. He steps away. Oh, yeah, he lands right on his knee. Yep.
Deontay Davis out of the game, and Jackson Jr. now going to grab a seat as well. Greg Buckner, the summer league coach for the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis, as we mentioned earlier, was crippled really by the Mike Conley injury a season ago. Kobe Simmons out front. Nice take, and draws the foul. Kobe Simmons will go to the free throw line for a pair. See the athletic training staff getting a look at Jaren Jackson Jr. Simmons out of Alpharetta, Georgia originally. Played at Arizona, came out early, went undrafted in 2017. Averaged a little over 6 points a game for Memphis last year. They've kind of settled, Doris, on him being a two guard now.
They
not
have,
a point.
yeah, exactly.
Orlando leading by 5. Briscoe couldn't get to it, and it's a over and back violation. That's the 5th turnover.
Right here.
And it'll be Grizzlies basketball.
They've stopped attending to Jaren Jackson.
Which is good.
Yeah, at the very least, he's going to have a nice sized bruise on that knee because he fell right on top of it.
Simmons with a nice hesitation. Had it snuffed at the rim by Mullins.
You're seeing what he is, though, Mark.
Yeah.
You just said it. They see him as a two guard, not a point guard. And he's an attacking two guard. He's got to use that speed to get by.
Simmons was actually fouled. We'll get a couple more free throws.
I say this kid has put in a ton of work. Stuck in Memphis since season's end, working hard to get his shot right.
Gotta love the second year now of the new 2-year contract as part of the recent collective bargaining agreement. Players can spend a maximum of 45 days with the NBA version of whatever their G League affiliate is. And there's a look at Michael Connolly. We were talking about him. But, you know, you do the math, Doris. If you spend the maximum amount of 45 days, you prorate that NBA salary. An NBA player who goes back and forth between there and the G League on a two-way deal can make close to $400,000. That beats most European options.
I'm taking that, Mark.
That beats a lot of options.
I'm begging for 45 days up top.
Kobe Simmons made the most of his opportunity last year. Played 26 games with the Memphis Hustle. Averaged 15 per. Briscoe, a guy that went the other route, went overseas, and a charge going to be called against the Magic. Memphis Grizzlies without a couple of players today. Want to mention that Wayne Selden and Ivan Rabb not available today. Selden is actually a guy that is part of the not just Summer League roster, but the main team. There he is, getting a breather on the bench. Next to him, one of the coaches you saw, the cleanly shaven head, Vitaly Potapenko, erstwhile of the Cleveland Cavaliers, one of the machinations they made to fill that staff out. Was raving about how talented that group is. Works with the bigs. Nick Van Exel also a member of that group. Timeout on the floor with the Orlando Magic leading by 3 when we come back. Good news for the Memphis Grizzlies as Jaren Jackson Jr. checks back into the ball game after taking a spill right here a couple of minutes ago. That right knee kind of crashed into the court. He's 1 for 5 from the field in this game. Total of 5 points on 3 free throws. Had a chance to speak with his father, Jaren Sr., a little bit earlier. He was with his son out in Salt Lake City at their previous Summer League stop. Says that he's doing the dad thing. He's taking care of Junior's chores. I'm like, come on, man. Really? Chores?
Like what?
Laundry.
Really?
Cleaners? Hey, man.
Wow.
Doing that Pops thing.
My son's 24. He's got zero shot of me ever doing his laundry again.
just odds and ends. Briscoe inside. And finished. 5-point lead. Simmons on the wing. 10 on the shot clock. Goodwin. Good defense by the Magic. Frazier with a nice closeout, and they get a nice stop. Isaac finishing the possession with the rebound. A whistle and an offensive foul going to go against Angola Rodas. One of the more memorable scenes of the college basketball season involved that young man. I can remember watching senior day at Florida State. His mother made the trip from Columbia, and both of them shed tears at midcourt. Simmons losing the handle. That's a backcourt violation. Good call by Sheree Mitchell. There's a look at Nick Van Exel, one of the members of that new coaching staff we were talking about. I feel really good about the fact that J.B. Bickerstaff is getting a real opportunity this time from the beginning. Getting a full training camp as a head coach, not taking over as interim like he did in Houston for Kevin McHale, or not taking over from Fizdale like he did after 18 games in Memphis a season ago.
Agreed, Mark. You get a chance to put your stamp on it.
Copain with the layup. 7-point lead. Steffens was looking for the lob up top, never got it. Here's Goodwin. Owundu moving his feet well. 4 on the shot clock. Goodwin has to jack it at the end of the shot clock. This Orlando team playing some pretty good half-court defense.
Steve Clifford has got to be thrilled.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We were meeting with them pregame, and that's Pat Delaney, who has been with Cliff for a long time.
Yeah.
But the only thing they were talking about was the defensive end of the floor. There was
Speak the same language.
Correct.
Pick and roll coverages, dribble handoffs.
And they haven't had that many. You get 2 practices on consecutive days, so 4 in 2 days, and then another one. So they're really just focusing on the main actions. Guard and pick and roll, obviously a priority. Dribble handoff, post coverages. But this team has really done a good job.
Orlando hasn't been to the playoffs in 6 consecutive seasons, trying to change that. In an Eastern Conference that perceived to be wide open, Isaac fouled, taking those long strides to the bucket. They're going to say side out of bounds. But Jonathan Isaac's activity level has been pretty high here in the first half. Made 10 starts last year for Orlando, and one of the guys that Orlando won't have next year that we haven't mentioned is Mario Hezonja, who signed a 1-year, $6.5 million deal with David Fizdale and the New York Knicks.
They're going to give him a clear path.
Yeah. And the great thing is they didn't have to go to the monitor to take a look. Quick decision.
So, as perspective on what you just said for what Fizz got Hezonja for in New York,
right,
he cost more than Boogie Cousins cost Golden State Warriors.
Unbelievable. That's great perspective, Doris.
And wasn't it funny when Steve Kerr was on with us a couple of nights ago, and I said, Now, you're a well-liked man amongst your colleagues. But when the news was announced, what did your colleagues say? And he said, crickets.
9-point lead for Orlando. As for Mario Hezonja, never quite found his niche or his role here with the Orlando Magic. And a very physically talented and gifted player. Briscoe and one.
How many times has he done that in this half, Mark? Where he's not blowing you away with unbelievable speed, but he's using his frame and he's deciding the pace. Goes behind the back, nice tight handle. He's made that move on both sides of the rim on a couple occasions. You talked about the frame. Use that backyard, son. It can shade people off you for a bit if necessary, and then get to the cup.
Has a tendency to struggle at the foul line. They got the offensive rebound. Orlando up by 11. A little too much sauce that time by Briscoe. Here's Stephens. Lee setting a screen out top for Goodwin. Good closeout by Frazier, 5 on the shot clock. Another good defensive sequence by the Orlando Magic, Doris.
I'll tell you this, I talked to Coach Dunleavy, who coached Mr. Frazier at Tulane, and he talked about he's got a real chance because he can guard on the wing, as you see Mo Bamba on the sideline.
Yeah. Lee is going to check out of the ball game. Deontay Davis comes in. This is a big year for Davis.
Yes.
Trying to become a regular part of that rotation. And a shot clock violation. Staunch defense by the Orlando Magic again. I tell you, they contest some shots, Doris.
They sure do. They're fast to close. Look at Isaac. He's just pursuing everything.
And speaking of shot blockers, with the signature finger wag, Dikembe Mutombo. You know, you turn on your TV, Deke is liable to be in any country. You turn on CNN or a basketball game overseas somewhere, he's courts. This guy is a citizen of the world. Time out on the floor. Welcome back, everyone, to the Thomas and Mack Center across the way at Cox Pavilion. A competitive battle between the Utah Jazz and Kevin Knox's New York Knicks. With under 55 seconds, actually under a minute to go. Kevin Knox has had some great moments. In his debut, he was dynamic, especially at the offensive end.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's been a long time since the New York Knicks have been good. But to watch Kevin Knox and to think about him pairing with Kristaps Porzingis.
David Fizdale has talked about playing Porzingis at either the 4, the 3, or even the 2.
Correct. He's got the skill set. Think about it.
Yep. They finally get it in bounds. Briscoe in the corner. Jackson on the switch, and Briscoe throws it away. They had the mismatch too. 15 seconds to go. And Simmons out front. Briscoe switches on to him with 6 seconds. Good hands by Briscoe. Had a little bit more time, Frazier did, than he thought.
He's getting a good chuckle at himself. He knows he blew it.
Should his teammates be telling him how much time? Do you rely on a little bit of help there? I'm just trying to cut him some slack. No?
Honestly, Mark, you have vision on the shot clock as you're dribbling up.
Okay.
I'm a tough grader, man.
Briscoe with 9 points to lead the way for Orlando at the break. When we come back, Seth and Cassidy will wrap up a busy day here in Las Vegas. Say hello.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, where people are getting shots up on the court and in the corridor here in Las Vegas. Magic up.
Time shot there.
Yes. Are you good at popping shots there?
Oh, love Papa
yeah,
Shot.
yeah.
Who doesn't like Papa Shot?
Cassidy Hubbard here with our basketball analyst Seth Greenberg. Day 3 of the Las Vegas Summer League. And look, another 10-game slate. It's been a fun one. Unfortunately for Trae Young, his day was cut short earlier today as he left their game with a right quad contusion. But the team said basically that, he came into today a little sore, so it's just a precaution. So not a big deal there. We'll keep you posted on anything we know. But as far as what else you saw in that game, who stood out to you?
I was impressed with the two players of Portland. Wade Baldwin, who came to Las Vegas looking to get a contract from the Portland Trailblazers. He was terrific defensively. He contained and contested Trae Young when he was in the game. 10 assists, got in the lane, made good decisions, and then late game got to the basket and finished. And then Jake Layman shot the 3, rebounded, and did a really nice job of getting out in transition. A second-year player trying to take his game to another level.
Well, earlier I walked over to Cox Pavilion to check in on the Knicks and Kevin Knox, and he had another great game and 19 points as they're still wrapping up. Actually, the Jazz just beat the Knicks 90-85. But what do you think of Kevin Knox?
Kevin Knox is wired to score. I mean, the game comes easy to him on the offensive end. He can shoot the ball to the three-point line. And his ability to now drive the basketball. John Calipari all season tried to get him to drive the ball. Yes, he can knock down a 3, but he can also lift people, put them on a zip, and at 6'9", finish at the rim. Kevin Knox is wired to score, and he's going to be an elite scorer in the NBA.
David Fizdale called him a freakish athlete. So put a freakish athlete with the unicorn, that could be a very special. And what the New York Knicks
Come on, the Knicks eventually going to be good.
Exactly. So Kevin Knox certainly has been a standout player, but who's another guy who's really stood out to you so far in these first 3 days?
Yesterday we saw the matchup number 1 versus number 2, Bagley and Ayton. But the most impressive big guy so far has been Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter has the big question is, could he go to ball screen? Could he protect the rim? Well, Wendell Carter is a complete package. He can step out, shoot the 3. He can play in the mid-post. He did a terrific job protecting the rim. He's got a maturity to his game. He's got a big body. He plays hard. I thought he was absolutely terrific. And when put in ball screens, he did a terrific job of containing the ball, keeping it in front, and contesting at the rim. Wendell Carter, of all the bigs, whether it's Bomber, Bagley, Ayton, Jackson, he's been the most impressive thus far.
And you know what? This draft is defined by these new age bigs, and they've been showing out. Look, I will be talking with Wendell Carter Jr. coming up in the second half here in Las Vegas. Again, the Magic and Grizzlies, second half action coming your way after this.
Back everyone to the desert, to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League from Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, and some great entertainment over the last 3 days here as part of the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. Mark Jones courtside along with Doris Burke, Cassidy Hubbard joining us as well, getting ready for the start of the third quarter in this run between the Memphis Grizzlies and the burgeoning Orlando Magic, trying to get back to the playoffs for the first time as a franchise in the last 6 years. And when you look at the performance of Jonathan Isaac going into his second year, things are looking bright for this team.
He's a special young man off the floor, and his game is growing on. I think a year ago he really was not healthy enough. He missed 51 games with some ankle issues. So they wanted him to be aggressive and assertive as a scorer. And you have to fight your instincts, because this is a guy who wants to be a playmaker for others. I like that he took six shots, Mark. He missed some, obviously, but it was more his mentality that I liked.
Jonathan Isaac, cornerstone of the franchise moving forward. 6 points on 6 shots. See what we get out of Mo Bamba as well here in the second half. Mohamed Bamba was the 6th overall pick of the recent draft in the first round. We saw him use that 7-foot 10-inch wingspan early in the game, getting a couple of quick block shots. Saw Bamba knock down a 3-ball as well. Carter got open from the elbow and got the auspicious bounce. Memphis got it down to 9. 7 points for Carter.
We're going to talk to Jeff Weltman, the president of basketball operations. See can Carter finish this note. I can't wait to ask him, because you think about John Hammond,
Right.
and there's some similarities between Milwaukee and how this Orlando team is taking shape, right?
Big guys with long arms, right?
Yeah, right.
Isaac, one of those guys. Bamba with the board and the punch home.
Wow. Pretty good feet there. Sidestep the defender.
Quick second jump by Mo Bamba. And Orlando's lead back up to 11. Kobe Simmons. Jaren Jackson Jr. And there's another block for Bamba. And he's running the floor. Frazier fouled. Boy, he got down to the floor in a hurry too, Doris.
I'll tell you, end-to-end action from Mr. Mo Bamba. He is just playing off the driver, does a nice job getting himself into open space, and then on the drive, or excuse me, the move by Jackson, twice on the pipes. Those are the kinds of blocks, boy. The next time you go up, you're thinking, not sure I want to do that.
Yeah, he'll be coming. Timeout on the floor, 8:31 to go in the third. Back after this.
Mo Bamba, well, let's give you some perspective on how long he is. The longest in recorded history at the NBA Combine, longer than Rudy Gobert. How about that, Mark?
Covers
Incredible.
a lot of distance. And we've seen a lot of illustrations of that early here and how he can be a big force at the rim. Top shot blocker in college basketball a season ago. And we're joined by Jeff Weltman of the Orlando Magic. Jeff, when you sat down and interviewed Mo Bamba, what was the first impression you got of him?
It's just jaw-dropping spending time with Mo. Anyone who's spent any kind of time with him is just blown away by his intelligence and his thoughtfulness, and his ability to see the big picture as it applies to his career and his development arc. He's just an amazing kid. It's like talking to a grown-up.
Yes,
and
no doubt.
Obviously, he's got a long road ahead of him, and it's going to be lined with a lot of hard work. But the foundation as a person is what really drew us to him.
We asked him before the game. I was asking him, had he had a chance to settle in? Did he purchase his place in Orlando? And his response was no. I'm somewhat methodical about what I do, but you're going to love what he thought. He said, I want it to be close to the practice facility. So to your point, I would guess, Jeff, that you liked his work habits as well.
Well, obviously, we're just getting to know him.
Right.
And we were, our guys did a great job doing a lot of intel on Mo, and he's someone that we did a lot of background work on, and everyone we spoke to said the same thing. Hard worker, gets it, understands the big picture, and will put in the time. And I think there was kind of some sort of misconception about him early on when the draft process began, the beginning of the season. I almost think that he was penalized for his intelligence.
Mark
I was going to bring that up.
I really believe that, Mark, because I think that there was a narrative on him which is completely false, that he doesn't love basketball because he's got so many other interests. And when you sit with him, he's such a diverse person. And
talented athletic.
And he's not bad. When you sift through that and really talk about the work that he's put in and speak to his coaches and the people that have spent a lot of time with him, you see there's a hunger to be a great player. And that's obviously essential to make it in this league.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Doris and I were alluding to that somehow being very smart became a negative thing in this over-analysis thing that we do leading up to the draft sometimes. But how does he fit into this new wave of the NBA where bigs like him are stepping out and it's a pace and space game and guys are shooting a lot of threes? I know you have Bruce Kreitzer on staff, your shooting coach. How does he fit into the picture with Mo and moving forward?
Coach is obviously a big part of our staff, and shooting is always at a premium, but never more so than these days. Mo in college, and this is just the difference of the college game and the pro game, really wasn't used the way that he will be in the NBA as a hard roller, as a vertical spacer. You know, he was more kind of seeing post touches and that sort of thing. But the real secret of Mo, if you want to call it that, is we believe that he has a chance to not just be a good shooter, but a great shooter. Really? If you see the ball coming out of his hands, I mean, he's got a feathery touch. He's just obviously got a long road ahead of him as far as, you know, developing his body and getting his strength and his balance and his rhythm. But as all that stuff develops, we feel that he could become a real elite shooter in this league.
You also have Jonathan Isaac, who was hurt for an awful lot of last year. When I watched him at Florida State in the 1 year, Jeff, I always wanted him to be more aggressive as a scorer. I think it's his nature to want to share it and be a playmaker. What was the mandate from the organization for him?
The mandate was from day one, don't worry about being the best player, be the hardest worker. And it was a really frustrating year for Jonathan because he was injured and he really couldn't push himself. He's a remarkable kid himself, and he takes a lot on his plate. And Doris, to your point, he's a giver. His first instinct is to lift others, and that's one of the reasons that we feel that we have a good foundation for success in Orlando, because, you know, he's that type of person, and as his body develops and as his confidence develops and as he develops a kind of couple moves that he can try to get to offensively, because really right now he's really feeling his way through that part of his game. His confidence will grow, his hunger to score will grow, but he's really coming along the right way. And as he gets better, his teammates get better, and he's obviously you know, an elite level defender. And, you know, we think he's going to be a very high level shooter and playmaker and facilitator.
And he's going to get bigger too. You got two young men who are going to fill out.
You mentioned the word, Jeff, foundation. Aaron Gordon right now.
Yes.
Maybe the brick in the foundation, or at least an important one. Recently re-signed. How would you characterize that negotiation, and what does he mean to the franchise moving forward? And I'm going to make a confession. I thought he was awesome in Uncle Drew. I went and saw the movie. I'm a little disappointed. He was a heel. He was a bit of a bad guy in the movie. Spoiler alert, but what does he mean to the franchise? He was
I haven't
great.
seen the movie yet, but I've heard about his role. The negotiations were great. You know, his agent, you know, Bill Duffy and Calvin Andrews, and we've had a long-standing relationship with those guys, and they were a pleasure to deal with. And obviously, these things, you know, go through ups and downs as you get into these things. But it was very smooth, and we moved quickly. I think from both sides, recognized the range where a deal could get done. We both moved quickly to get the deal done. AG's thrilled to be back, and you know, we're thrilled to have him back. You're right. He's another important part of our, you know, building blocks, and
he made a big leap last year.
A big leap, and it's funny, you forget, because he's been in the league 4 years. He's 22,
right?
You know, so we're talking about 3 kids under the age of 22, and you know, they're all really hard workers. They're good people. They're very bright, and we feel that they'll grow us the right way, and eventually even maybe develop into the leaders of the locker room and kind of be what we want to be about.
The acquisition of Jerian Grant, you talked about the youth. He's only 25 years old, had a great career at Notre Dame. What do you think of his prospects at the point guard position? There's length, there's size, athleticism, ability to get to the rack. What excites you about him?
Yeah, well, you just said it. Thanks.
And a lot more.
I'm done. No, you know, we with DJ Augustine, we felt that Jerian would be a really good foil for us at that position. You know, he's got size, length, he's a very good defender, and he knows how to play. You know, he really you can put him in pick and rolls, and he sees people, and you know, we believe that his best basketball is in front of him, and hopefully, you know, we'll give him a platform to show what he can do, and I think it's a good fit.
We were talking, Mark and I, about Mr. Hammond and his Milwaukee days and sort of a team taking on a certain flavor. Would you say that there's length and athletic? He just likes to put teams together, which I guess in today's switchable NBA, all that switching, you need that.
Right. You know, you always take what the draft gives you, and you can't force things. And you know, we were lucky that a guy like Mo fell to us. Obviously, we had Melvin Frazier on our board ahead of where he fell to us as well.
Really?
Yeah, we were excited that he fell to us. And you know, obviously that's where the league is going. You want multi-position defenders and you know, the ability to get out in transition and kind of set up before the defense has a chance to. So, you know, we'll keep taking what is kind of given to us and look for opportunities to do that, and hopefully we know we can grow it that way. But the most important thing is to bet on the player and the person, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And you got a good one in your new head coach, Steve Clifford, as well. That was a great hire.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited about Coach, and you know, he's coached all of 2 summer league practices, and so we got a little taste of it.
Looking good at the defensive end already too, as a result.
Right.
Yeah.
I did see him in the lobby a couple of days ago with Jonathan watching tape, so I think he's taking his chances where he can do it.
That's right. He squeezes in where he can.
That's right.
Jeff Weltman of the Orlando Magic, want to thank you for joining us, and
thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing you down the road. Good luck this year.
Thanks, Mark.
Nice to see you, Jeff. Thank you.
Orlando Magic right now leading 31-51. Looking to improve to 2-0. They're in the Summer League format. Teams are guaranteed 5 games. They'll play 3, and then they'll set up brackets and play knockout play.
He was great.
And the championship game, going to be July 17th. Interesting comments from front office of the Orlando Magic. And he brought it up, Doris, about Mo Bamba, the fact that he's extremely bright in this world of over-analysis and this jocular culture we have. Somehow, some way, that gets flipped into a negative, like, why can't you be smart and still love basketball?
Correct. It's a ridiculous supposition. And frankly, think about what LeBron James said. He wants intellect. I know he's referencing basketball intellect specifically, but I want the brightest minds I can have. As a player, as a coach, as a front office person, and he's got 2 special, talented young men. I'll tell you, we can't fast forward 5 years, but I'm really curious to see what Jonathan Isaac and Mo Bamba look 3 to 4 years down the road.
Good place to start, if nothing else. Lee outside. Jaren Jackson, it's been tough sledding for him at the offensive end here this evening. And that's going to be a blocking foul. Foul is going to go against Byron Mullins. Memphis Grizzlies going to the free throw line. Jaren Jackson Jr. just 1 of 7 from the field, 6 rebounds. And there's a look at senior. The discerning parental gaze looking at his son. Not to mention that mom was a very good athlete as well. Well, more NBA Summer League games from Vegas coming up tomorrow on ESPNU and ESPN2. It all starts at 3 Eastern on ESPNU with the Pelicans Pistons, then on ESPN2 Pacers Cavs Hornets Celtics, back up to ESPNU for Bucks Nuggets and Nets Timberwolves. Games also streaming live on the ESPN app. And Jaren Jackson Jr., his mom Terry is the director of ops for the WNBA Players Association.
You see all the chatter out there. It was Asia Wilson, who of course plays for the Las Vegas Aces, who has sort of gone viral just for mentioning LeBron James' salary and just sort of a little social media softball lob. Can we get paid more? And Damian Lillard was interviewed earlier today here at Summer League saying he believes they need to be paid more. And I'll tell you what, you know Asia Wilson, that young woman is going to be the Rookie of the Year. She is tearing it up right now in Las Vegas.
I'm not going to lie, the highlight of my day, I took the selfie with her before the game here tonight.
I gotta say
Kobe
this,
Simmons inside.
If the casual fan would watch the WNBA the way NBA players watch it, the sport would grow. Because I'm amazed at the number of NBA guys who watch it, enjoy it.
We just need to get a team back in my hometown of Miami again. Boy, Mullins going strong to the bucket.
Nice pass.
Good punch.
Yeah, good punch, a good pass by Copain.
8 points for him, and the lead back up to 20. Jackson with the 3. Doris, what do you make of that three-point shooting motion of his?
Well, I'll be honest with you. How about he gets out of the gates and makes 8?
Yeah, in his first one.
We'll talk about it on the other side. It did not look especially smooth in that particular instance. Well, we talked about Jaren Jackson. He made 8 threes in his summer league debut, not here in Vegas, but he didn't look especially, I didn't think, confident and comfortable there, Mark, with that form. That's a guy who made 8 threes in a game. He shot it better, I think, than Memphis expected, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, shot 40% from downtown at Michigan State. And Cassidy standing by with his teammate Mike Conley.
Yes, thanks, Mark. Mike, first things first, that heel injury. How are you feeling today?
Feeling really good. Feeling really good. Had a good summer. A couple of months here that, they're getting to the point where they're having to hold me back a little bit. Because I'm so anxious to get it back and doing everything at full speed. So I'm excited.
I'm sure you're anxious. I mean, you just played 12 games last year, and you guys snapped a 7-year streak of making the postseason. What was that experience like, having to watch from the sidelines?
It was tough. It was the longest year of my career. Sitting back and having to watch the guys really kind of fight through every obstacle that they've had to deal with. And I felt bad because I felt like I was a big reason why all that happened. So, for us, it's all about trying to get past that now, trying to get us back on track. And I think starting with myself and Chandler, everybody come back healthy, we're right back in the mix.
And how about your rookie, Jaren Jackson?
Yeah.
He showed out in Utah and also doing well again here in Vegas. So what do you make of the rookie so far?
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I know that just getting to meet him and just getting to talk with him, he's a young, energetic guy, man. He really kind of livens up the atmosphere around you. And he showed that he can shoot the ball. He's athletic, can play defense. And we need all those things right now, so especially the way the league is today.
But you certainly need all those things in the West.
Yeah.
Talk to me about where you were when you heard that LeBron James was moving to the West and joining the Lakers.
I was actually getting done with the workout, and my boy hit me up, said, LeBron to the Lakers, and I was just like, I don't believe you, kind of thought it was a joke. But obviously it's true, and, it just is what it is. At the end of the day, moves happen, people make decisions, and, Golden State got better.
That's what I'm saying. More shocking to you, the Boogie Cousins move or the LeBron move?
Yeah, probably the Boogie move. I didn't expect that one at all. I knew LeBron had an option to go somewhere, but I didn't even think about the Boogie move.
I mean, the West is always tough, but what do you expect this year to be like in the Western Conference?
Just tougher, just tougher. It's been tough for like 10 or 12 years, and now it's just a spotlight on it right now with some really heavy hitters out there, and then the rest of the West is knocking on the door. So it's going to be a very competitive season, and I know everybody's anxious to get to it.
Well, I know the NBA world is anxious to see you back on the court. Good luck with the rest of your rehab, and have fun here in Vegas.
Thank you so much.
Back to you, Mark.
Yeah, when Mike Conley was injured last year, that took a lot of steam out of their collective sails. He was and is the engine, both he and Marc Gasol. It's tough to replace a guy like Mike Conley.
That's a consummate pro.
Yeah.
Understands how to run a team, makes timely shots. A good run under Mike. Zach Randolph, that went to the Western Conference Finals before bowing out to San Antonio. I know that was several years ago, but they had a good stretch of success there with that grit and grind. Tony Allen, of course, a big part of that defense.
Yep. Bamba the lob, express yourself, Mo. The Amway Center's going to be rocking this year.
What did Jeff Weltman say to us? Space the floor, verticality. Whoa.
That's what he does. It was interesting to hear him say that he'll be used differently in the NBA than he was in college.
Well, so much of the NBA is pick and roll. He shows he can pick and pop, right? Misses that jumper, but we saw him make a 3 earlier.
He was telling us about the change in the mechanics that Drew Hanlon made. Boy, Kobe Simmons actually got that shot over Bamba. He talked about the fact, Doris, and you can talk more about it, that he doesn't sling it as much.
Correct. Let's look at the vertical floor spacer first, because this is just too much fun. Correct. So he described his jump shot. This is good enough to show you twice.
Yeah. He
described his jump shot as very flat, because maybe we'll show it 3 times. We like it so much. He would, when he first started playing, bring the ball back beyond his shoulder and sling it. And he talked a little bit about, there was a reason my shot was so flat. It's impossible. Wow, that's a little frustrating if you're Orlando to get beat off a free throw like that. We'll talk a little bit more about his shot when we come back. But Bamba right now, Mark, he's doing a little bit of work.
Yep. A little bit of a work in progress as well. 11 points, 5 rebounds, and a block. We just want to give you some Mo. Welcome back, everyone, to Las Vegas, and there is a new show amongst the many in town here in this entertainment capital of the world. That ball player you see under that red cap getting mic'd up.
Got it.
Is one of the top players in the league. She is making some noise early. Asia Wilson joining us from the Las Vegas Aces here at Las Vegas Summer League. Asia, thanks a lot for joining Doris Burke and I. Hey, tell us about the jump from playing for Dawn Staley at South Carolina to your first professional season. What are your early impressions, and what's the adjustment been like for you?
It's been a pretty good adjustment for me. Honestly, I had the opportunity to play with 2 great player coaches, so they really understand how the game goes and for our bodies and things like that. So it's been exciting. I think Coach Staley did a great job of prepping me for the professional league, and I'm just having fun with it.
Asia, you made a little bit of a social media buzz happen by the mere mention.
That was me?
Yeah, just by the mere mention of LeBron James' salary. Did you expect the reaction? And now what is your reaction to what's transpired in the aftermath of the comments you made?
Yeah, honestly, I was not expecting that reaction at all, but I'm glad that it happened. I think it's now showing people that it's real. We kind of deserve equal pay in situations, not just in sports, but just across the board. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to use my platform and my voice to just kind of stir the pot a little bit. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not expecting it to happen overnight. But it's just the biggest thing is just bringing it to light and letting people understand that, this is real out here. We're working out here just as hard as the guys. And, yes, they've earned it. I take nothing away from them at all. We're in the same boat. But just trying to lift up each other in the women's league especially.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always found it, Asia, odd that tremendous collegiate players and tremendous players professionally in the WNBA that at times would, sometimes by necessity or sometimes by choice, spend so much time overseas in places like Russia or China where the pay, frankly, is much more lucrative.
Yeah. And it's a great thing. Overseas is always a great experience, and it's nothing to knock it at all. But I feel like we have something special, and we can build just kind of something here in the U.S.
Asia, you won a national championship at South Carolina with Dawn Staley, who will coach the Olympic team. I'm just curious, given the auspicious start to your career, what goals you have as a basketball player. Do you want to be an Olympian? I know you'd want to be a WNBA champion. Just talk about, what's driving you right now, because you are off to just a phenomenal start individually.
Honestly, it's just I think what drives me the most is having the opportunity to be a role model to young girls. I really didn't want to play this sport at all, but here I am. And it's just a blessing. So I'm taking it all in, and I'm trying to show girls that, hey, you can do it too. You can be out here just like I can if you just put the work into it. And honestly, of course, being an Olympian is a huge goal of mine, and I'm going to do everything that I can to become that. But it's great players in our league that I love to compete against night in and night out.
Asia, what's it been like being a part of something new here, a new franchise in Las Vegas, and getting the people excited in WNBA basketball in this town and women's basketball in the bigger picture?
Yeah, definitely. It's something very special here. We're kind of one of the teams that doesn't have an NBA team in the area, so it's really just us. We're on our own, but MGM does a great job of taking care of us, and we really try to make it the best, like a basketball state. We try to turn it into something exciting and exciting for everyone. So I love being a part of the Las Vegas Aces because we have the opportunity to write our own story, to start our own book and take it from there.
Hey, well, the WNBA All-Star Game is coming up soon in Asia. I expect you to be playing in that game. I actually used to cover that game and call that game many years ago. I miss doing that, and I keep telling my friends that you haven't lived until you've been on the women's basketball AAU circuit like I have for the last 5 years.
He's got a baller. He's got a couple of daughters who are ballers, Asia. He's getting a little humble brag in right now.
Lady Liberty outside and All-Star WNBA All-Star voting, folks, presented by Verizon is live. Vote for up to 10 players every day. Asia Wilson going to be one, of course. WNBA.com/vote or the WNBA app or via Twitter using the hashtag WNBA vote. Vote now and you could win a trip to the game in Minneapolis on July 28th. So, Asia, if you keep trending in the right direction the way you're playing with the points and rebounds that you're putting up, averaging 20.5 points per game, we fully expect to see you in Minneapolis.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. I remember, talk about the popularity of the WNBA. I called the WNBA Finals the year when Tweedy was still playing for the franchise.
Man, who was your partner? You're acting like I wasn't sitting beside you. He's got a short memory, Asia.
I'm just letting him know, Asia. There was over 23,000 people in the building for women's basketball. So I believe in the sport. It's a great sport. If you're not watching, folks, you're missing something. You really are.
Hey,
you don't like sports if you don't enjoy WNBA basketball.
I have to say this, I'm curious because one of the things that strikes me, and I said this earlier tonight on our broadcast, guys like Draymond Green across the league. I once saw Chris Paul. I was watching an NBA and Africa game off the monitor, and he was mimicking a game-winning shot that Maya Moore had hit in the WNBA Finals. So I'm just like, do you get encouraged by the other league, the best players in the other league, sort of, appreciating what you guys do?
Yeah, definitely. They show us so much respect. They come out and they support us. They're always behind us, and that's what it takes. That's really what it takes for our league to continue to grow in a direction that we need it to grow in. So the guys are always got our backs, and we always have them. We support them as much as we can, and they do the same. So to have the men on the men's side, of course, kind of support us and mimic us in ways, it's a great feeling.
You got a chance to show out in front of Dame Lillard and Chris Paul yesterday, Mark Jones. If you and I weren't working, we would have been there.
Asia, I got to ask you, I'm not trying to hate on Minnesota or Los Angeles, but is there a possibility that we might see something different in the WNBA Finals this year?
I'm not sure, honestly. Like I said, we're one of the best. We're one of the best leagues, of course, and I'm being super biased. And we're always competing every night, so it's anybody's game, of course. Anything can happen in this lovely game of basketball. So we'll see.
Right now, you guys sitting in 9th place. The Las Vegas Aces. The first 8 teams make the playoffs. You guys got a push coming up anytime soon? What's the schedule look like?
We're on the road for the next 2 games, and we're just going to have to grind out everything that we can. But I think our biggest thing is just, winning every game, of course, but at the same time, winning our home games. I think that's what's going to continue to bring people out, of course, because people love when you're winning. So our thing is to make sure that we take care of our home crowd and take care of our home court.
Okay, hey, listen, I'm going to be here till the 17th, so you got some tickets for me?
I got you. Just hit me up.
Okay. That was easy, Doris. Aces 5-5 at home so far. As Rodas knocks down the jump shot. Asia Wilson joining us from the Las Vegas Aces. Which AAU program did you play for?
I played for the Palmetto 76ers.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Asia, have you seen any of the big men who have been drafted high at all, or are you too busy with your season? I'm talking about the new guys here, Marvin Bagley or Wendell Carter. Have you seen anybody?
I haven't seen them play yet, but I had the opportunity to kind of be around Marvin Bagley and Ayton at the Wooden Award, so it was kind of cool hanging out with them, of course. Just watching them kind of go from college to pro, it's a blessing, and it happens right before their eyes. So just to see them out here competing is always a good thing. But I haven't had an actual opportunity to sit down and watch them play.
All right, hey Asia, thanks a lot for joining us, and good luck in the second half of the season. Hope you guys get a little playoff push and make it into that top 8. And It would be fantastic for the city of Las Vegas, a new franchise, and you as well.
Thank you so much.
Continued success, Asia. Thanks.
Thank you.
Love me some women's basketball, Doris.
I know you do, Mark Jones. Always have.
Got to give a shout out to FGB, Florida girls basketball, winning today in the championship game in Louisville.
How'd Sophia do?
Sophia Jones was out there balling today. Knocked down a big three that got them the lead late in the game. Are you a three-point shooter? You're drive and dish, right?
Drive and score and drive and dish.
You had your priorities straight. Goodwin fouled on the play. Orlando leading by 23 points here with 6:01 to go in the fourth quarter of play. So the Orlando Magic looking for their second consecutive win. They won on Friday. Memphis would fall to 1-1 with a loss here tonight.
You know who the #1 fan of the Las Vegas Aces is? Shea Serrano.
Oh, wow.
New York Times best-selling author. He's like their super fan. Super writer, super fan.
Well, Asia promised me some tickets. I'm here all week. Don't think I won't find her. Back after this.
Let's do it. Let's do this. 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 And one, that's a pro move. That's a pro move.
Oh, let him know. Let him know, man.
Good D, Cal. Talk. I'm here. I'm here. I'm streaking. I'm streaking. Hey. Left, left. No. Switch this, switch this, switch this. Oh. Drop, drop. I'm here. I'm in help. I'm in help. Go, go, go. Hey! Pass, boy.
Some wonderfully intimate sounds from the court.
I liked how communicative both are.
Really underscores the value of talking out there. Straightaway jumper off the mark by Antonio Campbell.
It's a skill, Mark. Communication, especially on the defensive end, is a skill that's valued highly by coaches. And by nature, some people are more talkative than others. You've got to bring it out of some guys.
That's a great point. Wright trapped on the baseline. Campbell again, 0 for 2 real quick. Orlando Magic with 8 block shots in the game. Isaac has 5. Bamba has 1, and Frazier has a pair. And you would think at this point, with 4:38 to go, Jaren Jackson Jr. probably done for the night. Not one of his better stat lines. Jaren Jackson Jr. 1 of 9 from the field. Dad has his critique ready, I'm sure. But I thought it was great how...
More important is the laundry ready, according to you.
That's real love. Jerry Stackhouse on staff was mentioning to me how Jaren Jackson Jr. wasn't even the best player on his travel ball team. And his parents did a great job letting him develop at his own pace. One of the youngest, actually the youngest player in the draft, just 18 years old. Meanwhile, Antonio Campbell finally got one to fall. Undrafted rookie, played in 10 games in the Philippines last year, and also for the Magic's G League affiliate in Lakeland.
Did his dad play at Georgetown?
Not sure if that's the same Campbell or not.
No, Jaren Jackson.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Jump hook way off the mark by Mahmoud. Here's Rodney Purvis, interesting player out of North Carolina State. Recently did a stint with our colleague Jeff Van Gundy, representing USA Basketball. Purvis has put up some good numbers in the G League in Lakeland, but the feeling might be that it's going to be tough for him to crack the roster.
You know, there's only a handful of players who can become volume shooters in the NBA.
Yeah.
In Purvis's career historically, he can. Here he goes on the nice drive. He's got a great body for the league. Ooh, missed dunk.
Brady Heslop up court. Heslop, a dead-eye shooter. That's what he does out of Baylor. A little bit off the mark. Coached by Coach Drew down there, and associate head coach Jerome Tang. They do a fantastic job with their players in that program. Purvis out top with 10 on the clock, under 3 minutes to go. The step back three comes up short. Purvis getting his Jackson though.
What did I just say? Did I just say? Not everybody can
you
be
did
a
say volume, right?
Volume.
I heard volume in there somewhere. Well, the damage is already done for the Orlando Magic. And another bucket there by Jay Wright. Played 34 games in Lakeland last year for the Magic, their G League team. Was all Sun Belt back in 2017. Don't forget the Lakers and Bulls coming up next. Stick around. Lakers taking on the Chicago Bulls. Lakers won their opener last night. The Bulls dropping theirs against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That game also streaming live on the ESPN app. A whistle and a foul underneath. And a little bit earlier, actually, no, we have players shaken up down there on the baseline. Looks like Rodney Purvis.
He's trying to stay tight to Brady Heslop and took a pretty good shot. Wow.
Purvis up on his feet. Good to see. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Cassidy with a special guest interview.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. I'm here with the 7th overall pick in this year's NBA draft, Wendell Carter Jr. with the Chicago Bulls. And Wendell, last night, 16 points, 9 boards. You put on a block party with 5 blocks. How would you describe what your performance was like?
Just being an unselfish player. I just went out there, played my game, played as hard as I could, and I'm a competitor. I want to win. So whatever I had to do to help my team win, that's what I did.
Well, you certainly got the crowd into it with all of your blocks, but what do you hope to improve on tonight against the Lakers?
On the defensive side, that's somewhere I want to be perfect. I know offense is going to come. On the offensive end, I don't have to force anything. I'm going to get my shots. Defensive end, that's somewhere I want to improve to the point where people are scared when I'm guarding them or whenever they're going up for a shot and I'm around.
Well, it's official that Zach LaVine will be your teammate this season, and he was in the audience last night. Have you gotten any advice, or did he talk about your performance with you?
I haven't got to talk to him. I plan on reaching out to him at some point, but as of right now, I haven't said anything to him.
Well, you certainly put your athleticism on display, showing a variety of blocks. How would you describe your defensive mentality?
I don't like for people to score. That's kind of my mentality. I take it pretty personal when someone scores on me. So yeah, that's kind of how I go about every defensive possession.
Well, good luck tonight against the Lakers, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Mark.
All right, we get a look at Wendell Carter coming up next. Wendell Carter coming up next as his Bulls take on the undefeated Los Angeles Lakers. And once again, a nice Laker Nation showing here as part of the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. They have done a tremendous job here. All 30 teams participating this year for the first time. Warren Legary, Albert Hall putting this tournament together and running a first-class basketball show for the last 3 days. It goes all the way until July the 17th. It's just a 4-hour drive from Los Angeles here to Las Vegas, and the Laker Nation always showing out in big numbers. They're the defending Summer League champions.
We were wondering if Josh Hart was going to play. His teammate Kyle Kuzma here again to look on.
Those two have some great social media exchanges.
Yes, they do,
Between Josh
along
Hart,
with Lonzo.
Kuzma, and Lonzo Ball, which became a little too entertaining, I guess, for Lakers brass.
Good point.
Yeah.
Lakers brass actually said there was a report out that they asked him to tone that down a little bit. That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
I loved it. I thought it was just guys having fun. It's the same stuff you hear guys doing the dozens and, you know, talking smack at each other in the locker room.
It's just what you do. It's how you roll.
Yeah, that's the culture. Harmless. Asia Jones, Asia Wilson talking to Josh Hart. I'm going for those tickets. She needs to put me at courtside this week.
It's exactly where you belong. Where you
with no headset.
Where you're accustomed to being.
No, courtside with no headset, Doris Burke.
I'm feeling you.
No labor on that day. Popcorn watching the best female basketball players on the planet. As Heslip knocks down the first free throw. You know who his uncle is? His godfather? Jay Triano.
No kidding.
Assistant coach, now on James Borrego's staff, the Charlotte Hornets. Both native Canadians. Jay was a member of the Canadian national team, as was Brady. Brady spent time in the G League as well as overseas. The Canadian national FIBA under-17 team finishing fourth today, losing to Puerto Rico in the World Championships down in Santa Fe, Argentina. And congratulations to USA Basketball. The under-17s dominating France today, winning by a huge margin. I think it was about 40 points. Purvis rejected. Up to Matthews, and he missed the slam. Tell you what, this last minute looks like a 3 a.m. shift at the Waffle House. It's a little messy. It's all over the place. But the Magic with 5 people in double figures. Jonathan Isaac, an impressive performance with 12.7 rebounds and 5 blocks. Mo Bamba, the top draft pick, with 11 points and 5 boards. And the Orlando Magic will improve to 2-0 with 0.8 to go. Jaren Jackson Jr., meanwhile, played 22 minutes, just 5 points. But we're not here to overreact in Summer League, right, Doris?
Correct. And he's shown.
Way.
And listen, I think as you see Jonathan Isaac go down the line and shake hands with his opponents tonight, listen, all of these young bigs have some work to do, no question about it. I'm excited to see Wendell Carter Jr. again. He seems to be perhaps the most prepared early.
Chicago might have really fallen into some good stuff with him falling to them. Oregon effort and interview here in a couple of moments. Hey, what about the quality of young men coming into the league? I had a chance to visit with pretty much all of them at the NBA Draft Lottery show in Chicago. Bright, athletic, see the big picture, have a great understanding of the history of the league as well.
With great work habits.
Yes.
And that'll be needed.
Cassidy standing by with Mo Bamba.
Mo, 11 points, 5 rebounds, pretty dominant win tonight. How would you describe your performance and what was working so well?
I'm pretty pleased with it. Coach put me to the side and he said I was pretty dominant, and that's all I really asked for as a player, to get feedback from a coach. And it was the little things. I told him the only thing I did was dominate the details, and my ability to learn is uncanny to any, and I'm just happy to be out there.
And Jonathan Isaac, another productive performance. He had 12 points, 7 rebounds. How would you describe the chemistry you were building with him?
I mean, I've known John personally since high school. He's a Bronx kid, kinda. So we clicked immediately, and on the court we clicked immediately as well. He's just a great guy to play with.
I spoke with Jaren Jackson before the game. He said you guys have known each other for a while, and he was really excited to get this game going against you. How would you describe what that was like for you to go up against Jaren?
Oh, it was awesome. We share the same mentor in KG, and we both brought that intensity, that little fire, and it was just fun to get out there and compete against him.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Mark.
All right, Cassidy, Mo Bamba with an impressive performance, and he enjoys the competition. KG spreading that competitive vibe amongst this next generation of big mentors. What about that?
Well, you couldn't pick a better mentor in terms of their motor, but I'm just impressed with the young man. We talked a little bit about his intellect and what he brings, but this guy, he wants to work, he wants to get better. There's so many things to build on. He had the longest wingspan in NBA Combine history. He averaged 3.7 blocks. He can stretch the floor vertically, as their basketball operations president told us. This guy, listen, will his body develop? Yes. Is he going to get stronger? Yes. But there are a lot of things to like about him on and off the floor. He's a nice fundamental piece to have in your organization.
Yeah, great starting point. Him and Jonathan Isaac on the front line. Pretty good potential, if nothing else, right now, and some great skill for the Orlando Magic. Hey, coming up next, the Los Angeles Lakers doors taking on the Chicago Bulls. We heard Cassidy speak with Wendell Carter a few moments ago. It's a tough act to follow in Act 2 here tonight. What are you expecting?
We yesterday had a chance to see Wendell, and I thought he played like a man who had been in the NBA before. There is a maturity, there is a confidence, there is an intellect that he plays with. There's nice touch facing the basket. I mean, we saw him make a three. There is so much to like. To me yesterday, the big who looked the most confident and comfortable was Wendell Carter Jr.
Very polished after just 1 year at Duke. And of course, the Los Angeles Lakers, Josh Hart leading the way. They won last night as well. Got some great outside shooting to aid Josh Hart with Mikhailuk out of Kansas.
He gets it off quick. He spaces the floor. He's got incredible confidence. And that was a guy at Kansas who actually struggled to be that go-to guy on the offensive end. And I thought Josh Hart gave the Lakers everything that they had asked him to do.
Well, we're going to take a short break and come back and talk a little bit more about the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the second half of our doubleheader. Stick around, folks. A good run coming up.